Welcome to the Powerlifting Podcast. I'm EricCafferty, owner of the Mecca Gym. I am a strength and conditioning coach and a contest prep specialist. The focus of this podcast is to dive into the mindset and the drive of people who have done incredible things with their lives. Welcome to the Powerlifting Podcast, and I feel like our guests just keep getting more powerful. What do you think?
The epitome of power might be sitting right next to me.
I mean, I feel like this room is just electrified right now. Today we have a very, very special guest, one of the Mecca's own, and probably the most decorated powerlifter we have in the gym, and certainly one of the most impressive specimens that we have ever laid eyes on here at the Mecca. And he's here on the daily. He's a regular. And since day one, he saw the deadlift bar and was sold immediately.
Exactly. I came in here maybe 2 weeks after you guys opened up. I know I talked to you. You went to show me around. We got to the deadlift platform with the jacks to lift the bar off the deck, and I was like, we're done. You're like, what? Yeah, sign me up. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Deadlift bar, deadlift jack. Done.
That's it. Sign me up.
It was awesome. So this is the one and the only Parry Markle, and you're going to have to let everybody know all of the list of accomplishments because they're too long for me to remember.
Sure. We'll just do the shortened version. I've won 7 national championships.
7.
Starting with collegiate. Then I also won a police and fire division of USAPL powerlifting, and then 5 senior division national championships. So 7 of those. I won 3 world championships, 2 in the senior division, and 1 was the police fire division of USA powerlifting, and probably set 6 or 7 national and a couple world records.
And this is in USPA, correct?
The first 2 national championships, the collegiate and the police and fire division, were both in USA powerlifting.
Oh, okay.
And the other 5 nationals and 2 worlds were in the USPA powerlifting.
Okay. Dang.
Yeah. That is the
impressive. So just so everybody knows that's listening, if you don't already know, these are very well ran and very well judged and refereed events. So, it's not like, Parry just walked into a garage and got these titles. These events, most of them, the most recent ones have all been in Vegas, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So big meets and big hotel in Vegas.
Quite the spectacle.
Yeah. They do it up. I've actually watched him live online lift several times.
Yeah.
Just outstanding. And Parry, how old are you?
Do I have to say?
Oh, man.
62.
62. That is incredible. And so when did you start powerlifting?
Probably, I went in a meet once when I was in high school, and I bombed.
You got to start somewhere.
My first and only ever bomb was the first meet I ever went into. But and so then I really started doing it full time, I guess, as a sport when I was in college.
Okay, fantastic. So, to my memory, you started in college, and when your kids were born, you took a little bit of a break.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, I lifted probably 15 years competing from college, and then after, and then once I started to have had a few kids, and I was also a full-time job in law enforcement, I stopped competing. I was still lifting, but pretty much took about 20 years off from the platform.
Competitive side.
Side.
So what year did you come back?
2014.
2014. Came back.
I came in 2014. It was the Idaho State Championships.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. Dominated, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Dominated, I'm sure.
That's amazing.
So, Parry, tell us a little bit about you and your background.
As far as lifting wise,
all of it.
All
career,
of it.
yes.
My career. Oh my gosh.
That's a loaded question.
That's a loaded question.
What do we start with? Career or?
Let's start with career. Where did you go to school?
Career wise, I went to school at graduated from BYU. Then it started in law enforcement immediately after graduation. I started working for Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Worked there for 7 years, and then moved up to God's country here in Boise.
Yes.
And started with the Boise Police Department and put in 23 years there, so a total of 30 years in law enforcement there.
Wow, amazing.
That's awesome.
No,
So,
it is.
what was your specialty with the law enforcement?
Law enforcement, I did a lot of undercover narcotics work.
Oh yeah.
So
for those of you who don't know what that means Perry's a badass and he could kill all of us in this room in 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's just a very simple
It's a
way to put
lethal
it,
man.
but accurate.
Yes. Yeah. So that's a pretty intense profession. Did you enjoy that?
I did. It's the undercover part of it. It's interesting. It's not for everyone, for sure, and especially for cops, because most cops get into the that kind of mindset where they're going to tell you what to do and you're going to do what I tell you, and all that authoritarian type of stuff, which is important in that profession. And of course, undercover narcotics is completely the opposite. You're going to be everything anti-police, starting from the way you look and all the people that you deal with. Obviously, you're hanging out with the bad guys all the time, and so your whole persona is kind of matching what they do. And so it's interesting because you really do live a double life when you're doing that.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
You become two people. I mean, starting with the fact that you have an undercover name, you have a whole identity
Right.
as another person. I had a wallet that I kept all my undercover identification, driver's license, credit cards, all that kind of stuff. And when I put that in my pocket, then I became that guy. And when I took it out of my pocket, then I was Parry again.
Right.
So then that was the mental switch, was the wallet. In the pocket.
Oh yeah. Yep. As soon as I put that in my pocket, I was the other guy.
So tell us a little bit psychologically, how you had to compartmentalize that. Was that difficult? Did you have kids at the time? You had to come home and
it's a huge compartmentalization. It's not, especially when you're doing, law enforcement itself, you have to compartmentalize a lot of things just because you see a lot of things that most people never see, mostly bad things,
Right.
The traumatic things that happen to people. You see a lot of that stuff. And then as far as undercover, it's even more because you're living as a different person for part of your life, or part of the time when you're working, you're living as another person. As far as my kids, I had to tell them flat out, is like, if someone comes up to me and calls me this other name, then I'm not your dad. You just go with whatever I tell you.
Yeah.
And it's funny thing with kids, people think, oh, didn't that scare them, all that stuff. But actually, they kind of embrace it. I think it's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
And my son,
think it
it's
was
like
cool.
a game.
yeah, it is to them. And actually, my son was actually with me twice when that actually happened, and he reacted perfectly. He just pretty much didn't say anything, just reacted to whatever I did, just like whatever I was saying. He was going along with it perfectly. And then even after we were done, he said, "Hey, Dad, can I have an undercover name too?"
That's
So
awesome.
kids are funny that way. They just embraced it, and so a lot of my life with them growing up was when I was doing that. So they became pretty much used to it.
Yeah, that's pretty
That is
incredible.
amazing. When you graduated from BYU and then went to LA, it sounds like.
Well, I'm from LA originally, so I just went back home.
You just went back home.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you have the idea that you were going to go into narcotics? You were going to do that, or?
I didn't really. I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be a cop. That's what you're saying. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and basically got out of school and needed a job, and started old school looking in the LA Times classified section.
There we
No
go.
Googling. And just saw a bunch of law enforcement jobs that they were trying to hire officers. So I picked a couple of them and just started testing, figuring, well, whoever hires me first, that's where I'm going to go.
Oh, wow.
And ended up getting hired in a couple of months by LA County Sheriff's Department. So that's where I started.
So you were in you got into that like right during when the riots were happening.
Yeah,
down there,
I
didn't you?
I was working down there in South Central LA when the riots kicked off. Actually, that if you ever remember watching it, they were showing an intersection called Florence and Normandy, and that's where a lot of the they were pulling people out of cars and all that stuff. That actual location was about 2 or 2.5 miles from where my station, sheriff's station, was.
Oh, jeez.
The only problem was it was in LAPD's area, not the sheriff's area, and while we were all begging to go down there and kick ass, we were basically told to stand down because it wasn't the sheriff's jurisdiction.
Oh man.
So they let LAPD screw it up, and then we had to clean up afterwards. So
Yeah, wonderful.
There you go. Yeah, it seems like a simple fix. You let them go in at the beginning.
back to some history. So when did you first get into lifting weights, and what was kind of the motivator there?
Being 5'2" and 100 pounds, and getting ready to go into high school and trying to play football.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a good motivator.
Yeah.
I mean, the 5'2" part you can't do much about. But I actually took a weightlifting class that summer, and that's really my first exposure as far as personally doing it. My dad lifted weights, and we had a small set at our house, so I was around it. I just didn't really participate too much, at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that class and really liked it, and put on like 20 pounds. Anyways, when I came into the season, at least weighing 120. It's better than 100.
Yeah.
And every year after that in high school, I put on about 20 pounds, and all from lifting. And at that time, lifting was not nearly as popular as it is now, especially in the high schools. We had no structured program, no strength coach. The high school weight room itself was in a little kind of dungeon in the back of the gym, and which consisted of a couple of those old machines that had had a lat pull and a bench press and all that. I don't remember what they call them, but just a crappy machine and maybe a couple of dumbbells, and that was the whole weight room. So I kind of graduated from there to the local gym in town where I grew up, and like I said, I really didn't get into powerlifting itself until a little bit later on, but it's kind of the foundation of what became my powerlifting career, because bench press, I was always, everyone talks about, especially in high school, what do you bench?
Right.
So of course,
for sure that would.
So that was my big thing. So I was a pretty good bencher, and being that not many people in high school lifted anyways, I kind of became known as the kind of musclehead dude, because not many people lifted. And, right? Big change.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I got started in it. And then when I got into college, actually, there was the school had a powerlifting team, and so I could win a couple of meets. Actually qualified for collegiate nationals that first year that I trained. So I'd been in like 3 powerlifting meets my whole life, and now I'm going to Pensacola, Florida, to compete in the collegiate nationals.
Jeez.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And so after that, I was done. It was all that I did at that point. I actually even played football the first year when I was at BYU, and I dumped football because I liked competing in powerlifting so much, and I never played football again.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Was there a big shift between lifting weights in high school and then getting to that collegiate level on that team?
Yeah, it was a lot, because it was actually structured. We had a coach. There was a lot of guys that were doing it, and so I wasn't used to that at all, because I trained with a couple of friends in high school. And I wasn't used to that whole atmosphere of especially a team of guys all kind of doing the same thing. They let us have the weight room for several hours, and so only we could go in there and train. So it developed that kind of team atmosphere. And then, like I said, being to train with a lot of guys that actually did powerlifting when I really didn't know that much about it.
Yeah.
That's my learning curve started there, because I started training with those guys, and then there was a lot of European track athletes that went to school there, and they were big into not only Olympic lifting, but obviously squatting, benching, deadlifting, all that stuff they did. And these are some guys that are Olympic athletes, shot putters and discus throwers, Sweden, Norway. So I kind of got used to being in the gym with all this foreign languages being spoken, guys screaming in Swedish. And I tell you what, talk about when someone's screaming at you in Viking languages, you lift better.
Yeah.
And so that's where I kind of really got into it, the whole thing of screaming and yelling and getting into it, and a lot of stuff that I'm kind of the motivational stuff that I'm kind of known for now. So that's where I kind of got all that from those guys.
Gosh, that is cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, you hear those guys in the World's Strongest Man. You hear a lot of people scream. Those guys, because there's a lot of those Scandinavian guys competing that, and they're screaming,
Sweden
yes,
and all that. Yeah.
And so that was my beginnings of my lifting career. So
there you go.
That's pretty crazy. So let's talk a little bit about your durability and the effects over the years. So, I mean, the most amazing thing, I think Doc Redden and I use you as an example all the time when we're, talking to people, because they're like, oh, I'm too old to lift weights, or, blah, blah, blah. Lifting weights is bad, bad for your joints, and blah, blah, blah. You hear all that kind of stuff all the time. And we say, yeah, right. Well, look at this dude, Parry Markle. He's over 60, and he could crush you, you know what I mean?
Very easily.
And he lifts all the weights. But of course, all the heavy lifting has not gone without some consequence.
I mean, the 6 shoulder surgeries.
Yeah. So you've had
with?
six shoulder surgeries. You've had what?
Well, actually 7 now because that last
yeah.
one. So my left is beating the right side now.
So you're 4
It's
to 3.
4 and 3. Used to be tied. And then I've had a bicep tendon tear, and is that it?
Hamstring.
I've had bad hamstring tears. I had that partial tear in my patella tendon from benching, which is odd.
Oh yeah.
So, but I did not have to have surgery to have that repaired. So, surgery wise, just the 7 shoulder surgeries and then the bicep tendon repair.
Okay. Yeah. And then various other injuries.
Yeah, lots of different injuries to go with it, but we won't count those because I didn't get cut on. So.
Yeah, but the thing that's so great about, not great about getting injured, but great about you as a person, you've gotten injured, had surgeries, but you're still coming to the gym afterwards. You're still always doing something to keep in the gym, keep yourself healthy, keep yourself strong. So tell us a little bit about your mindset when it comes to that stuff.
Injuries are a pain, basically. I look at them as an inconvenience, really. Especially if you have surgery. It's an inconvenience because you're not going to be able to do the stuff that doing that. Like, I'm in the gym 6 days a week, so that means, guess what? You're not going to be in there 6 days a week doing stuff. I mean, I try to come in a little bit and do things that I can because I really believe that coming into the gym and just doing whatever you can do, a lot of times with the shoulder injuries, I can squat with the safety squat bar. So I'll come in and squat 3 times a week with that. And I think that in itself, I think your body heals much, much quicker.
Absolutely.
When you're busy and you're actually doing exercise instead of sitting around. And
Absolutely.
a lot of times the doctors, I listen to what they say, and, I give it its due attention, but a lot of times they don't want you doing some of the stuff that I probably do. And I'm not saying I know more than the doctors, but I do know my own body. So sometimes I'm probably pushing a little bit harder than they would like me to, but I've been successful so far, and I've never re-injured myself, coming back. And pretty much all of my rehab stuff, the stuff I do, I come back in the gym. I don't go to necessarily go to rehab itself. My rehab is coming in and working out and doing the stuff that I can do.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, inconvenience wise, because depending on the injuries, you're talking 4 to 6 months of a setback, meaning to get back to where I've heard, that's going to take about that much time. And so you got that. And like I said, that's how I see it, as an inconvenience. I've never thought that I'm not going to come back. It's always like, okay, it's not going to be, till this month where I'm actually just going to be able to start doing some consistent lifting and get back to what, competition shape.
Right.
Wow.
And that in and of itself is an incredible mindset. So, speaking of which, the why, why lift 6 days a week? Why continue to push these heavy weights? I mean, I understand it, obviously. But for the listeners, a lot of people think, oh man, you're, X years old. Why continue to push yourself, especially if you've had injuries and things like that?
For me, because that's who I am. I mean,
Truthfully,
I'm about
as
big a meathead weightlifter as you're going to find. I mean, that's one of the things that I enjoy in life. I mean, my saddest times are the times when I'm injured and I can't be in the gym for a couple hours every day, because that truly for me is that adrenaline, that life force, whatever you want to call it. That's what makes every day a good day for me. And so, I mean, the why for me is because that's who I am, truly, and I enjoy it. It's one of the gym to me has always been, it's kind of like the sanctuary, the place where I feel the most safe, the place that, all the goals that I have, and a lot of that stuff that I do are, circled around stuff that I do in the gym. So it's a big part of my life. And to me, it's way, way more than a hobby or just something that I do to stay in shape. Like I said, it is who I am. So that's the whole why for me.
And I see that truly on a daily basis. There's no doubt about it. So
no, you don't come to the Mecca and not know Parry very quickly.
No. And speaking of, what makes you happy? I mean, I've never seen this guy happier than when he pulled some, it was 1,000 or 9, close to 1,000 pound rack pull.
Oh my
and
gosh.
pulls that up, and I mean, it was not easy. And he, I think he turned about 16 different shades of purple, and he set it down, and then he goes to stand back up afterwards, and it was like, oh man, lights were on and off real quick, and he grabbed onto the uprights of the squat rack, and I'm like,
is he gonna die?
You good, Parry? And he looks over at me, and there's just this smile and this glazed look in his eyes, and there's just this fire. I'm like, oh, he's good.
He's better
good.
than ever.
He's better than ever.
He's in the zone right
Yeah,
there. Exactly.
He's totally in the zone. He's like, yep, lights went out for a second.
We're good.
Yep, but we're good. We're okay. But
yeah, no, that's the stuff that I live for. I truly enjoy it, and that is my passion, and it's never let me down.
Yeah, that's amazing. So let's talk about some goals here. We talk a little bit about the why, but what are the goals leading forward with lifting and powerlifting specifically?
My goals are just to keep competing for the time being. I always said that I'll stop competing when it's not fun anymore, and or either that or I've done something really, really bad that I can't. It's the old philosophy: it's better to burn out than fade away. So I'll have some, if my arm falls off or something when next time I try and do 1,000-pound.
Let's hope not.
Then, yeah, right. But I mean, something like that. But for the immediate future, I didn't get to compete the last year. COVID kind of shut a lot of stuff down. So, I have plans to compete nationally again towards the end of this year, and probably for the next foreseeable future. I mean, as long as I'm progressing and getting stronger, which I am, which don't ask me why, how I'm doing that. How do you keep doing that as you get older? Because most people don't. The simple answer is that I believe that I can.
Yeah.
And that's I'll keep competing and doing this stuff as long as I feel like I enjoy doing it, and as long as I'm progressing. So the answer is I'll keep going till that day comes when I don't want to anymore.
Till the wheels fall off.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's right. And to me, I'm still, like I said, getting stronger in all my lifts. And so while there's injuries and setbacks that happen, I still enjoy it a lot, and I still love walking into the gym and lifting heavy weights.
Absolutely.
I mean, we'll just say it. I love being the strongest dude to walk in the gym. Okay,
that's
right.
it. That's right.
And it feels good, and I'll keep doing that as long as I can keep doing it.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, and with the setbacks too. I mean, some of those can be a blessing in a sense, right? Because I mean, after one shoulder surgery, you're able to switch to the safety bar, like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. I think that actually did a lot of benefit for your squat.
Sure did.
You even mentioned.
I did, and it does. And there's things you learn from a lot of the injuries. I mean, the stuff that the manner in which I train bench press specifically is very, very tailored to all the injuries that I've had, and I've had to figure a lot of things out that work specifically for me and have helped keep me in the game, and not only keep me in the game but keep progressing, doing heavier benches, and so just the fact that I'm able to learn something from those injuries and actually modify my training to not only recover but to get even better, and that's probably the greatest learning lessons. And then discovering the safety squat bar, which helped my squats, different things like that too. But the actual injuries and having to modify my training, it's really helped me to keep staying in the game.
Bless our listeners with some knowledge. What are some of those training techniques? And you can be general with it as well. But what are some of the things that you've learned over the years that are important for building strength? Well,
probably the most important thing to me is I'm powerlifting, so I'm trying to lift as much weight as I can in 3 different lifts. So I guess the question always is, okay, how do you bench, or how do you lift heavy weights if you can't lift heavy weights? I mean, like, say you say, I want to bench 300 pounds, but you can only bench 200 pounds. So how do you do that? Because, volume is great, but to a certain extent, I mean, that's how I was always getting hurt. At the heavier volume to build to the heavier weights. finally you break stuff.
Yeah.
Because your body can only do that for so long.
You can only tolerate
Exactly.
so much volume.
Exactly. And volume in itself does not translate to maximum weights. You always think, okay, the thing about, well, if I do 5 reps at 250, that means I can do this. That really doesn't work.
No.
I mean, in a sense, loosely you can kind of figure, but it's not. Heavy weights are heavy weights, and you got to do them.
You got to acclimate.
And so, and so I kind of developed different things with, using, I'll call them props, using a bench block. For me has been a godsend because that's allowed me to push heavier weights on the top end because I was always getting hurt on the bottom of the lift. And so being able to push top end heavy weights using that in itself kept me from getting, this last shoulder injury I had, it was the last one or the first one I've had since I'd kind of started working on a lot of these different techniques. And it really, I hurt it doing dips, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was injured and then I benched and then actually broke it benching, but it was already injured. So, using the block helped me a lot, and doing some other stuff with reps, but calling them speed reps. So basically a half rep and doing it as fast as you can with some decent weight on the bar. Mm-hmm. So you build the low end speed, which you have to be strong. You have to have speed in the lift, and then the power comes in using props like a block, or some people use the slingshot for a bench. We're talking bench press or whatever. So all these things that I've incorporated have helped me not get injured, and that way I can keep putting on the heavier weights. Plus, you can use heavier weights in your training. Like if you're going to do a block bench, and so you can maybe do 30-40 pounds more than you can normally. So now you're actually lifting that heavy weight, albeit it's not a full lift, but you're actually teaching your body what this weight feels like. Mm-hmm. And so when you go without that block next time, you're not going to be shocked and go, wow, I've never held this in my life. I've held this weight many times and actually done some reps with it, just not complete reps. So things like that are what I've been able to do that have kind of kept me in the game and allowed me to lift the heavy weights without breaking myself down by doing massive amounts of volume.
And the same thing can be said for you use blocks a lot on deadlift.
Same thing.
What about for squats? What are some of the keys to squats that you found?
For me, squats is all about speed. So most of the time I try to do everything. I try to do it as fast as I can. When I go into the bar and do the reps, I'm thinking
max power output.
Yes. Super fast explosion, as fast as you can do it. And that's what seems to work for me. And then just doing as much weight as you can while you're doing that. And squat, I've never had an injury squatting. A lot of people you see get back or knees or stuff. And thank goodness. It's just wood.
There you go.
So that's always worked for me in the squatting. And, not having any injuries makes it easy to train.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about training periods for you and how you periodize your programming. I usually like to give myself 15 weeks if I'm going to train for a competition. Mm-hmm. So I kind of break it up in kind of lower end volume. So I'll be do things on my working sets, all my 3 lifts, say like sets of 5, and then in the middle you start doing the sets of 3s, and then the last 4 or 5 weeks you're doing singles and doubles. Okay. And so it's trying to do as much weight as you can with those amount of reps in your working sets, and then keep building up, and then by the end, hopefully, you said you're doing the singles and you're doing a lot of weight at that point. So that's kind of how I look at it. I take a break after a meet, usually at least 4 to 6 weeks. I'll come in and train. I'm not that I don't train, but I won't. I'll kind of just, be one of those deals where I come in. I know I'm going to do a certain exercise, but I don't come in with any expectation. Like I don't have a set plan like I do in a competition. I go, okay, this is where I'm beginning at, and this is where I hope to end at. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of let my mind wander and come in and just do different things. Then that's the time when I'll be doing safety bar squats more, or doing, just more accessory exercises that I don't normally get to, because I'm pretty specific. I'm one of those guys that benefits the best for my powerlifting wise, is that when I come in and squat, that's all I do. Mm-hmm. When I bench, that's all I do. I don't do a bunch of auxiliary stuff. For me, the actual lift itself, I try to pour everything I can into that lift that day. And if I'm not dead by the end of it, then I probably didn't work hard enough. Right. That's how I look at it. And so when I'm on
a break from competition, I do a whole bunch of other things that I don't normally get to. So that's actually in itself kind of fun, because it's kind of liberating to come in the gym and go, okay, I don't have to squat 600 pounds for this many reps or whatever today. It's like, I'm going to squat, but I'm going to use the safety bar, or I'm going to use the camber bar. I'm going to put some chain, whatever.
Yeah, there's not as much pressure on
No,
that,
absolutely not. And it's a nice mental break from doing the heavy grind. But
the pressure is what you live for.
Exactly.
So you got to have that.
Well, I mean, it's not like all of a sudden someday we're not going to be in there and someone's going to say, hey, we're doing this. I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, right. So you function a bit off of a linear periodization model. And so talk to us a little bit about training frequency and what you've discovered with like frequency of lifts, because I know you're doing multiple days. And so what does that look like for you?
For me, so I live 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. I do squats on Monday and Friday. I do bench press on Tuesday and Saturday. I do deadlifts on Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah, I do I call it auxiliary day, but really it's just a lot of back work.
Gotcha.
Rows, different kind of rows, pendulays, straight legs, wrist rare cable rows, and then some shoulder stuff in there too, like dips, and I do a lot of pull-ups and things like that. So it's accessory in that I'm not doing one of the power lifts, but it's not a true accessory day because it's really focused on back and some shoulder stuff.
So you're doing 2 squat, 2 bench, 1 deadlift, and 1 accessory.
Yes. And like I said, because when I do my lifts, Monday when I squat, it's just squat. It's Friday, same thing. I'm just going to squat, but I'm going to do, something big and pour everything in it. Like I said, when I get done squatting, I'm tired. I don't. I won't feel like doing leg curls or extensions or any other leg stuff, as hopefully I've poured everything that I had into that lift. So that works good for me. I tried different variations of that. I've tried deadlifting twice a week with the squats, but for me it's too much. Bench press is pretty, I've done before when I was younger, I would do it 3 times a week when I was still kind of gaining ground and trying to bust into some big numbers. But even that, I found that was too much. And that's the start of my injury syndrome with my shoulders when I start doing that. So I realized, okay, I can't be doing that anymore 2 times. And I go light, both of them, like with all my lifts except for the deadlift, I go light heavy. And someone will go, well, that doesn't look too light. Well, light in reference to comparative to what I'm trying to do, and compared to what my heavy day is.
So what does a light day look like for you in terms of like sets and reps, and what does a heavy day look like in terms of sets and reps?
Well, I'll just say like bench last week. So my light day was I do my speed reps, which I go up to 315. And then I did a heavy set of bench. I did 405 for 5, and then 455 for 5, and then back down for a burnout set of 405 I did like 10 reps. So that's my light day and bench. Heavy day would be, then on Saturday I worked up to 1 single at 495.
Damn.
And then I'd go back down and do 1 burnout again at 405 is kind of my...
barometer.
My barometer for bench press. And so, you figure there was a 50 pound difference in what I did that one day to the other one. Squats, the same thing. Like I did sets of 535 on last Tuesday, and then on Friday when I squat, I did my top end was a set of 5 at 630.
Damn.
That's a lot of weight.
It's a lot of weight.
Yeah. Lightweight day. That's a heavy.
So speaking of the weights, so what are your best meat lifts?
My best meat lifts, bench or squat is 639, bench press 474, and deadlift 651, or I'm trying to think of the kilo, 651 I believe in kilos. So those are my best competition lifts.
My goodness.
Impressive. So are you going squats, you're going raw with wraps?
Yes.
And then bench press, are you doing any sort of shirt?
I use a bench shirt, but
it's like a single ply.
It's a single
right?
ply, yeah.
Yeah.
And then deadlift is just raw deadlift.
Yeah,
there's no really gear for deadlifting. Deadlift is just deadlift.
The damn weight
Just
pretty much pick it up. Yep.
Yep.
I was told the keys of deadlifting: number 1, grab the bar; number 2, lift, pull like hell.
Yes.
That's how you deadlift. I said,
Yes.
okay.
2 steps of deadlift.
Yes, the 2 steps.
Yep.
And
2
so
steps.
yeah.
It's awesome.
But I've done, obviously done some better stuff in the gym, so I hope to kind of mimic those.
Yeah.
I'd done a 500 bench before I hurt my knee in competition, so I was looking for that, and I've done a 705 as my best deadlift in the gym, so I'd like to do that in a competition too.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago when I was powerlifting more seriously, we were doing the race to 700 on deadlifts, and I think I pulled 675.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then I think Parry ended up beating me. Regretfully, I had a vasectomy in the middle of that. So
never good.
that never leads to gains. So.
No, that won't do it.
So,
but there you go. There's you talk about me and you were having a little race to 700. That's kind of stuff that you talk about how gyms differ. This gym compared to other places that I've lifted. And, obviously, we joke about you having the deadlift bar and all stuff, and that's actually true. I saw that and I was sold. I hadn't met anyone in the gym. I mean, obviously you walk in, it's a nice gym and all that, but seeing equipment like that I've never been able to train with, that's stuff you see at a competition.
Yeah.
And then the things that have progressed in this gym, now we have specific deadlift bars, we have squat bars, things that I use in competition that you don't get at a regular gym, you will find here. You have, a lot of people that are always pushing each other, be it they're competitors or not. This gym is I would say famous for everybody supporting everybody no matter what they're doing. If you're just, a mom that comes in and you're doing a max deadlift or what are you doing, you will see everyone crowd around and cheer for that person. Just stuff like that you don't see because, your normal gym is everyone's out for themselves and everyone's trying to look cool and whatnot. And the whole family atmosphere of this gym is unbeatable. I mean, I've worked out a lot of places in my life and never one like this. And, that in itself, if you're looking for a place to train is huge because there's a lot of days when you don't feel motivated. And, a lot of times on those days you think, well, my pals are going to be there, or these people are doing this, or I said I was going to go train with so-and-so and, get you in here. And then once you're here, then, it's time to go. So that in itself, like I said, is something that I've found specifically about the Mecca that is,
well, that's
key.
I'm honored to hear those words.
That's just the
other thing that you said that I really like and want you to touch on a little bit more is you mentioned, on the days you're not motivated because, this being the Power of Lifting podcast, we talk a lot about my whole mantra of motivation is bullshit, basically. I mean, because it's true. Motivation, it so waxes and wanes, it comes and goes. And so, for somebody like you who, if everybody hasn't gleaned this so far, I mean, Parry's mantra for success is consistency.
Yes.
So what does, somebody as accomplished and decorated and as committed as you are, what are the things that go through your mind on those days where you're, like everybody else, feeling like, I don't really want to go to the gym?
Well, yeah, and my whole thing is that I'm going to, I guess I don't have a lot of those days, I mean, I'm just going to go. But what I would say is that, on those days, I mean, just get your butt in there and, if you don't have to do, oh, my program said I need to do this today and I feel like crap for whatever reason, go in and do your program, but just do lighter weight. Yeah. I mean, don't restrict yourself to this is what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. No one's going to fault you saying, well, you're supposed to be doing 90 on your press and you only did 75 today or anyway, exactly like that. And I think people think that, well, if I can't do this, come in and do something.
Yeah,
because I guarantee you once you start first, then you're gonna that whole thing of I don't feel like it or whatever is gonna go away. Because the whole act of coming in the door, that usually kind of helps part of it. And then just maybe take it easy on yourself that day. Don't think that, okay, man, I got to do 45 minutes of cardio and I got to do this. Just do a workout, get some stuff done, get the blood going,
get
and
something started.
Do it. Just get in here and do it, and you'll feel better. you already know that. Everyone knows, you get those endorphins going when you're training and stuff.
Absolutely.
And so to me, like I said, it just get in there and do it. Because, like you said, the whole thing is consistency. You see so many people. I mean, I've been training here almost since the gym opened, and there's been a lot of people that I've seen that have come in different stages of not being in shape, I guess we'll say it. And just to see them now, and I'm not talking about people even competing. I'm just talking about people that are your everyday, mom or dad or, kid or whatever. And these people that are consistent, man, you look at them a year, 2 years, 3 years. I mean, I've been coming here for over 5 years now. So, and some of these people have been here that long, and to see the gains that they've made, and if you see these people, then you could never say, I'm too old to lift, or, I don't know how to, or weightlifting's not for me, or whatever, because they would erase that from your mind just seeing them. Because, great, I've seen great things happen, and I see the look in people's eye, when you walk up and, man, you really have done some good stuff here, and just seems like really, that can really affect someone's life.
Absolutely.
And it's funny to think that can weightlifting or training and being in shape can affect your life. It absolutely can affect your life. Your outlook on things can be completely different. I mean, so many people that come in with that mindset, it completely changes. And this gym, like I said, with the trainers, the equipment, the people that train here, all the motivation that's flying through the air, you can't help but catch that, and it's great.
So how would you say that lifting, you talk about those life changing things, how would you say it's changed your life?
Oh my gosh, I mean, I think for one thing, from a confidence standpoint, I mean, me from since you've met me and stuff.
Modern day Parry.
Modern day Parry was olden day Parry was very different than modern day Parry. Modern day Parry was not. He was probably the quietest guy in the room, if you can believe that.
I don't believe you.
It's true. I was not a super confident person. I ever since I got into the gym, like I said, it was one of those things that just clicked for me. That I was good at it. I felt like I could actually see physical changes in my body that were happening, and it allowed me to, do better in the sports I was competing in at the time, and then actually go on and make a weightlifting career, such as, it's not any money maker, but in my career in weightlifting, coming from that. And that in itself, to me, like I said, my personality is way different than it is now, and that's all from being a confident person and feeling confident and going like, I can do this in the gym, and that carries over to everything you do in your life.
Absolutely.
The job that I had, I mean, you cannot be a quiet, shy, not confident person to be a cop, no matter what you're doing. And so obviously that made that job easier. I mean, being able to talk to people in general, that was huge. I mean, like I said, I was probably the quietest guy in the room before and didn't like talking to people. And now, of course, I'm probably the loudest and most obnoxious, and walk around the gym and talk to everybody who I could find and interrupt them, that kind of stuff. But
we love it.
I would say that is the biggest thing for me, is that I became a lot more confident in myself and believed in myself. And, if you believe in yourself, you can do whatever you want.
Absolutely.
And that's huge.
So, we believe in you, and with that, what is your belief, and what is your goal moving forward with lifting? Is there particular numbers that you're shooting for next competition? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I've had a goal for the last several years to do a 500 pound comp bench, and had it in the bag until I hurt my knee. Well, I thought I had it in the bag, but I got hurt and couldn't compete. And then I had a shoulder injury, and so all these things keep happening to get in my way from that. And all that does is make me more determined to do that 500 pound comp bench. So for the short run, I need a 500 pound comp bench. I needed it to happen. So I am. My other lifts, I want to do good on them, and I'm training them hard. The second would be the over 700 pound deadlift in competition.
Yeah.
But the 500-pound comp bench needs to happen in my life.
Yeah.
So
I
That's
agree.
the great way right there.
I agree.
it is.
Yeah.
And I know I can do it. I've done it in the gym. When I've been healthy and everything. So it's just a matter of doing it, staying healthy, and getting out there and doing it. But anyways, yeah, that right now, that for me is my white whale.
Yeah, excellent. So when is do you anticipate the next meet going down?
Next thing I'm going to be is the USPA North American Championships, and that's going to be in Houston, Texas, and I've already signed up, and it's in November, first week in November.
Oh,
Sweet.
heck yeah.
So we got a couple more, about another month and a half or so, and I'm not slacking at all right now. What I will have to do is, since my numbers are actually pretty good right now, I'll break it back down in a couple of weeks, but where I'm going to be starting from is going to be fairly high. So I'm looking for some pretty good numbers in this meet. Hopefully, you always go in wanting to have your best meet of your life, and so for me, it's always a matter of staying healthy, and so keep doing what I'm doing. It's going to be a good meet, and I will get that 500-pound bench press,
Absolutely.
and it'll probably be on my second attempt.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's so badass.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're really pushing things, I mean, you only need 2.
Yeah.
I mean, you only need 1, I guess. But
I mean, the meet that I did, the 475, I did it on my third attempt. It was a world record for my age group. And being that it was a world record, actually, I could have taken a 4th attempt.
Yeah.
And I know this because I know the rules very well. And for whatever reason, I didn't ask for the 4th attempt. It didn't even occur to me till later that night. It's like, why did I not take 500 on my 4th attempt? The reason why I even went that attempt, I was planning on doing the 500, is that my back was really cramping after squats.
Yeah.
And so it just wasn't loosening up. So I had to do the safe thing and take a much lighter opener on my bench than I wanted to get on the board.
Right.
And then after I got that first one in, actually my back, we were working on it, actually relaxed, and then so it should have been first attempt a lot higher, then 474 on my second, and then 500 would have been my third.
Yeah.
Or I even could have, because I posted that video and I smoked 475.
Yeah, I watched you do that. Yeah.
So anyway, it's out there, and that is the one thing that's really driving me to keep coming back and working hard. So that's it.
Well, for those of you that don't know, the last meet that I did, Parry here was my handler.
Yes.
And let me tell you, this man and the bottle of nose torque. There's a picture that I'm going to make sure to share with Hunter that we throw up on the screen.
You betcha.
Of my face after it hit a nose torque.
That was the biggest man-sized hit I've ever seen anyone take. So
it was.
You should be.
Twitch your nose right down.
Oh man, yeah. Let's just say when Parry's there telling you to go lift that, you go lift it. Yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You either lift it or break trying. And,
right.
Yeah, I love motivating people and handling people in meets. That's something I will probably do forever, whether I'm competing or not. It's really fun to me to see people do their best.
Yeah.
And if you can be a small part of that, I mean, taking nothing away from them, but I enjoy seeing it myself. So I do everything I can to help that person be successful.
Oh, I felt the love. Let me tell you.
Well, good.
Yeah.
And I, for having you even to ask me, that's meant something to me. It's like, Eric trusts me. That's cool.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
That
No.
sounds amazing.
All the trust. That was a great meet. I actually had a pretty gnarly hip injury going on at the time, but we pushed through. I almost got squashed by a 600-pound squat, but
you went too low, is what I hear.
I did.
Real low.
Yeah, I think I grazed the floor with my butt on that one.
Can we say ass to grass?
Ass to grass, yeah.
That happened,
Yeah, seriously.
When you're doing individual lifts, Perry, is there like when you're mentally going for that lift specifically, do you have like your own rituals that you follow, or is there anything like that, or is it
the old powerlifting juju?
Yeah, big shot of nose torque, and just I kind of go blank a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about anything at all. Just I know what I have to do, and I take that big shot of nose torque that wakes me up, and then that's it.
I
I
think that's like the best part of powerlifting for me. We've talked a lot about bodybuilding on this podcast, but we haven't talked a ton about powerlifting. We did it with Marlon a little bit, but I think to me that's like one of the best parts of powerlifting, because when you go to lift a 1 rep max attempt like that especially in a meet, I mean, it's like literally nothing else in the world exists.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think, like Parry said, like just blank mind. I mean, I think I feel the same way.
I really talk about tunnel vision. Everything narrows down, and I mean, you kind of hear people and stuff, but I mean, when you're out on a platform like that in a big venue, like I said, it gets narrow, and it gets quiet, and I block everything out a lot, and it's real internal. And then I take that big blast of nose torque, and then I'm running out the platform, and it's nothing standing in my way. Let's do it.
Yeah, do not get in the way.
Right. Do not get in the way.
Yeah. Caution.
Right
so
on.
if somebody is struggling or stuck either in life or with lifting, what is the advice that you would give to them?
Keep pushing on. That's easy to say to someone, and I understand it sounds like, it's like the old thing, someone's hysterical. Don't tell them to calm down, because it doesn't work. It's like saying when someone says, I'm stuck, well, push through. Oh, gee, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
But truly it comes down to, no one can do it for you. No one's going to be able to get you out of that rut. No one's going to be able to, help you do what you need to do. In the end, it's really inside of you, and how bad, it comes down to how bad do you want it.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't have to be, like I said, there's days when you're not motivated, and those days, it doesn't mean you have to come in and 110%. If you show up and you can give 90, then give 90. If you can give 70, give 70. But the consistency thing is for someone, and if you're stuck in something, don't give up. You got to look at the big picture. I think sometimes our focus is so narrowed into, what's going on right in front of us, and we can't see the big picture and what's beyond, and that kind of bogs us down. So kind of try and take your gaze up a little bit from right here and kind of look out there, and maybe that will help. Like I said, but in the end, we're all, we're responsible for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And there's no one's really going to get you through those tough times more than, just like I said, digging deep inside yourself, maybe raising your gaze a little bit and realizing what you're going through right now is going to go away at some point.
I think that's incredible advice.
Looking
into the future, people, whether you're going through some bad stuff or you're just simply stuck in the gym on some weights.
Everyone in life, comes through hard points. Could be in the gym, could be in your job, could be your family, could be a lot of different things. Everyone lived through a pretty weird year, and with COVID, last year and all this thing.
Weird to say the least.
You had a business you were told you couldn't run, and so
Right.
that, I'm sure that had its own stressors. A lot of people are in the same boat, told you can't work, you can't make a living. That's crazy stuff. And in the end, you just had to figure out ways to get through it. Everyone for the most part, got through it, and that's a good example of me, showing that, individually, you just have to say, okay, this is where I am now. I need to be out here,
Right.
and start looking at that and giving yourself, some things to shoot for, to look for, to, that, I think to me that gives me, usually brings ideas on how to get where out of that stuck mode or whatever. Looking into the future and say, where do I want to be?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a lot of being stuck, like you mentioned, is kind of ambiguity or just not knowing where you want to be, because how are you supposed to go somewhere if you don't know where that somewhere is, right?
Yeah, exactly. Where are you trying to go? And so, like I said, a lot of people get stuck in that. They're just kind of floating around on the ocean, and they don't have a destination.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that helps a lot when you know where you're going.
Yeah, I think it
really does. And like
hard.
you said, that's a lot of people that kind of, it's like, you can say with lifting, it's like, I'm kind of plateauing here and there. So what do? Well, find the next thing that's going to get you out of where you are. Talk to some people. Maybe you need to find a group of people that will help motivate you, for the time to get you out of that rut. Maybe, whatever you can do. But, find some, think of some ideas. It's just go for it. And, and realize that the situation that you were in right this moment, you'll get through it. Eventually, it'll pass, and look towards the opportunities in the future. And then that's stuff that I do.
Absolutely, seeing opportunities in the future, I think, is key with that.
Yeah, at least just knowing that this will end.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, eventually
it does. Everything
absolutely.
ends eventually. And
so if you're stuck in a with a lift, say you're stuck with a bench press, it's just not moving the way that you want it to move. What do you do?
Come up with some other ways to. You may have to invent the wheel.
That's right.
You may have to come, like I said,
break the wheel,
stuff that
rebuild.
I do. The stuff that I do, or stuff that I did not do before I had all these injuries.
Yeah. And
it forced me to look outside the box. It forced me to understand, okay, what do I want to do here, and how am I going to get there? This, the whole thing you talk about, people want different results but keep doing the same.
Oh yeah.
Things.
The definition of insanity.
Insanity, right? And so I had to look and go, okay, every time I'm benching and I get on this, higher weight, higher volume stuff, I get hurt. But why do I keep doing that? Because that's how I get strong. No, that's how you get hurt.
Yes.
You get stronger and then you get hurt.
Yes.
And then you have to start all over again. So what that did to me is it had me reinvent the way I train my bench press. And so if that's what you have to do, that's where good ideas come from,
Absolutely.
frankly. And, what works for me, not necessarily going to work for you or anyone else. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But that's how you have to look at it. I had to look at what I was doing and saying, okay, I keep doing the same thing. I keep getting hurt.
Yep.
I need to come up with something else. And then I finally did. It took several injuries, but I finally did. And so,
eventually you learn it. Yeah.
I kept thinking, no, this time it'll be different. Even though I'm doing the same thing, the result will definitely be different. No, the result will definitely be the same. And so that's what I did. I looked at it and had to figure, okay, how can I do this a different way and get to where I wanted to go? And then, then obviously we talked a little about some of the stuff that I do and how that helped me get through it and not get, because I was killing myself because I was getting injured, not because I wasn't getting stronger. I was getting strong, and then I'd get hurt because my training in the end would bite me.
Right.
And so, that is the definition of insanity. I did that for many years. Yeah. And so thankfully I was able to finally sit down and go, okay, wait a second.
Yeah.
There's got to be something better.
And I can say, from personal experience, I've kind of dealt with some of the. I've come to some of the same conclusions, and part of that is because I've always coached myself, especially in powerlifting. And when you're coaching yourself in powerlifting like you have, you don't have that outside perspective where you're doing something and you're feeling these, say, negative effects, like you're starting to get aches and pains and things like that. And when you're your own coach, you kind of go, I can get through it. I can train through, whatever. Like you think and you sit back and I think, man, if I was my client right now, the same thing would not be occurring right now. Yeah. So why do I keep hurting myself? Oh, that's why. Oh, yeah, because I'm a dummy. That's why.
That's right.
So, I can definitely subscribe to that. I think that's very, very wise. So, so I just lost my train of thought. I know what I was going to ask you about. I was going to ask you about nutrition. So, what has your nutrition looked like, during phases of training, and how have you changed your nutrition over the past few years to try and optimize what you're doing?
I think a lot of it has to do just with the whole principle of getting those meals prepared, prepping your food, there's so many different services you can use that if you don't have time to prep or you're just not a good cook or whatever, you can do that. And I think that's, for me, has become kind of my go-to. I'm a good cook, I'll just say right now, but
I believe it.
Cooking for, it's a lot of times it's just, you're busy and stuff like that, and I don't want to feel like cooking or whatever, so you can use those other options, and that's what I try to do. So I make sure the smaller meals, more times, eating fairly balanced. I eat pretty balanced. I'm also a believer in, since I'm not a bodybuilder, and the whole macro thing isn't as critical because you're trying to get down to real low body fat and all that kind of stuff. That's not something I, worry about. So I do enjoy different varieties of foods, and I can say you can eat your hamburger and your French fries. Just don't eat it every day. That's how I'm in moderation, obviously.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. But in the end, having those solid meals and the smaller, when I was younger, I could eat some giant meals, and I did, man. But that's not the way to go. And now I couldn't do it anyway. Just that,
even if you tried.
Yeah, I couldn't. So having the smaller meals more times a day, it's easy. And I work, 40 hours a week, and so it's critical for me to have. I have a refrigerator and microwave at my disposal at my work, and so I can have those meals. I bring them in, and I'll have generally 3 different things while I'm working, and then maybe a snack when I get home and stuff. So nutrition obviously critical.
You're a 4 to 5 meal a day type of guy.
Yes,
which is scientifically perfect, generally speaking.
And then some protein stuff in between. Like I like those little shakes that you like they have 30 grams of protein.
It's an RTD.
Yeah, those
drink.
different things like that. Yeah. And I'll have 1 or 2 of those, throw one down after I lift, and then sometime when I work, I usually drink one of those too in between my meals. But the smaller meals with just I'll have a protein, a carb, and some kind of vegetable in there, and that's pretty basic. And,
so are you like a beef and rice type of guy? Are you a chicken guy?
I gotta have variety. Like I'll have, if I bring a couple meals to work, say one will be a beef, and then one will be a chicken or fish or shrimp or something, some other kind of thing like that. I like to have variety. I can't do the every day the Marlin chicken rice with mayonnaise.
Oh, mayonnaise and barbecue sauce. Yeah.
Sorry, Marlin, I can't do it, Brian.
Oh,
works for you though.
Well, I saw him in here woofing down Panda Express not too long ago.
Oh, he's a fan of Panda.
Oh, dude, the last time I had Panda, there was some serious repercussions.
Yeah, you're going, oh no.
Yeah, oh no, the body's not used to that. So, what's the best thing you cook?
Dude, I am killer on my smoker.
Are you?
I
yes, finally a smoker on the podcast.
Oh yeah, In fact, remember was a couple of years ago when little Danny was having her baby shower thing. I smoked.
Shout out Danny.
Danny. I did a couple of racks of ribs for her little party. Oh boy. Those things got mowed down.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. I believe it. Are you a pork rib, beef rib?
I mostly do the baby backs pork. I like beef ribs too, though. But I do a lot of the baby backs. I do a good tri-tip.
Love
and kind of getting into the brisket lately.
Dude, I'm a fan.
I like brisket, but brisket you're committed because that's a lot of hours.
Yeah,
you're talking you're doing multiple. You're talking good 10, 12 hours to really do it right. Whereas ribs, you can do that in 4 to 6 hours, pretty simple.
Right.
And not a lot of mechanisms to it, but but I love smoking. I got into it probably. I got a smoker like 3 years ago and never had one before. Man, that's the way to go.
Oh yeah. So are you a Traeger guy?
Mine is a Sawtooth.
Oh, a Sawtooth.
Which is made here locally in Idaho in Garden City.
Oh, shout out Sawtooth.
Yeah, Sawtooth, awesome. Yes.
There we go.
And actually, when I got the Sawtooth, actually had a feature that Traeger didn't. They do now, and that was that you can actually sear a steak on it. It'll go up to 500 and whatever degrees. Yeah. And Traeger at that time did not do that. So that's kind of where I got it. Plus, local. Anytime I've had an issue with it, I just call them, and they're there to help anyway. So shout out to the Sawtooth and all the good meats that it provides.
Yeah, that's excellent. So do you have a particular type of pellet? I'm assuming it's a pellet still.
Yes, it's the pellet, and I actually do it's an actual Traeger blend. It's called their
blend.
I can't remember the name of it, but
it's hickory.
Yeah, it's
apple,
a combo.
And
yes,
something else.
It's like their deluxe blend or something like that, and that's my favorite. And I use that.
Yeah,
pretty much for everything.
I also use that one.
Yeah,
it's
a good
phenomenal.
One. Yes.
Awesome. So, what are you doing for these baby back ribs? It's so special.
I think it's just the love.
I think I think you're probably right.
People make fun of that, but that's a true thing.
Oh, no, seriously.
It's a true passion of I want to eat these, so they're going to be really good.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't do anything special. I do the dry rub with. I do several different kinds. I'll do like your dry rub with like the mustard and the dry rub, and that way I do the wet rub. And I actually do one of my favorites is kind of a teriyaki rib.
Oh yeah, dude. That's
so that one's a little bit different. Takes a little more work because you start dry, then you go wet, then you got to wrap and all that.
Yeah.
But it is worth it.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
So that's the ones I brought to Danny's, and they, like I said,
man.
they got mowed down.
Oh, that sounds great.
So in fact. It was funny because Danny, she's asking people to bring stuff, and I said, well, I can bring some ribs. And she's like, would you?
Yeah.
So, of course. And then, of course, Nikki, if you're listening, she had done some favor for me, so she got a whole rack for herself, which Nikki ate her whole rack by herself.
Oh, I did not hear about that, Nikki.
But you did it.
But I also can't blame you because my mouth is watering.
I can't really handle it right
It is rib season, and I need to I was talking about that the other day, that I need to get some ribs going here.
Tis the season. We're going to have a Mecca barbecue soon.
We need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think it's in order. So you've just reminded me.
Yeah, we'll write
you.
it down
Good.
and make it happen.
Right.
All right. So Parry, he's a man of many talents. And so another one of those talents is, okay, so we've heard the ribs, we've heard the powerlifting, we've heard the narcotics, undercover extraordinaire. I'll add outstanding father to that list because I've met your children and they are very productive and then some members of society and great people. I will add.
That is my greatest accomplishment as far as I can in my whole life is having 3 good kids.
They are outstanding. And your son also phenomenal athlete. Lots of records at Mountain View High School.
Yeah. And
also, where do you play ball?
Washington State.
Yeah, played ball at Washington State. Super stud. Shout out, Darren.
He was here a week ago when they were.
Oh, man.
It was actually during the Strongman.
Oh man,
they were moving back up to Seattle, so he was here and graced. He actually came and threw in a PR bench. He did a 435 bench when he was here.
Just coming in, doing work.
Hey.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Wow. So, anyways, he came in and I said, because he said he was coming through and he wanted to lift here because he's a big fan and reps Mecca, even though he doesn't live here.
Shout
Eric
out.
hooked him up with a lot of gear and he's very proud to wear it. So he said he was coming into town and he was looking for a bench PR, and so I said, well, let's do it. And he knocked out a 435 here 2 weeks ago.
My man.
There you go.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. So to add to that list of talents, Parry is a phenomenal firearms instructor.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I did that. That's fun. I enjoy teaching people. I enjoy teaching people, be it lifting, helping, coaching, but in the shooting, I did that for many years. I don't do it as much. I really enjoy it, and I do it from time to time when people, I help out people with private lessons, but I taught the concealed classes with a partner of mine from the police department for many years when that was kind of a big thing. Now, Idaho, you don't have to have a concealed carry, so that kind of, the need for that kind of fizzled.
Yeah.
When they say, hey, you can take a class and pay this money and do this, or you can just do it. People just went with it, just do it for the most part. So.
Yeah, which is, a little bit unfortunate. Gun safety is obviously important.
Yeah, and that's truly, the teaching part about that is not so much the actual teaching how to fire the weapon, but teaching people the safety part and, self-awareness.
How to use it.
You have this thing here now. How do you make it useful to you and not get taken away and used against you, I guess.
Right.
Or the other thing, and part of it is just self-awernness. Being when you're out in the community, be aware whether you're carrying a gun or not. Just like I tell people, paying attention to your surroundings, will get you out of a lot of situations.
Yeah, exactly.
The head down on the cell phone, wandering around, just doesn't cut it. Just look like you know what you're doing, and pay attention. Most people leave you alone, and I know that because being an undercover guy, I hung out a lot with people who do bad things and got to hear how they picked targets and what they looked for, and the main thing they looked for was always someone who wasn't paying attention. believe it or not, and it makes sense.
Yeah,
Wow,
no, that
yeah.
totally makes sense.
So take it from the bad guys. Pay attention.
Yeah. So are you much of a long range shooter guy, or mostly just close range?
I never
these
did
days?
a lot of long range stuff. It was something I wanted to get into. I had some friends that were snipers, and
Yeah.
so I had, them out there that were willing to help me. I just never really got around to it like I wanted to when I was still in law enforcement. So I kind of missed that boat. Although it's a really cool thing. I enjoy it, and maybe someday I'll throw my hand in on that because I think it's a really cool deal. Another addition to the close range stuff. That long range stuff is nice. I mean, it's a completely different animal.
Yeah.
A lot of different components to it, but it's something that I think I'll probably get into eventually.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you're a close range guy mostly these days. So what is the close range guy of close range guys shoot the most of? What's your favorite
Weapon?
Yes.
I'm a pretty much 1911 45 caliber all the time guy.
Oh, Parry, I knew we were friends for a reason.
There you go.
I was forced to carry different weapons in law enforcement during my career. Undercover, you could carry whatever you wanted, so that was nice. But especially once I got out of that, I got rid of almost anything that wasn't 1911 based, platform based.
I hear that.
I have a 9 that's 9mm, but it's 1911 platform based, so the mechanism of how to shoot and cocked and locked and all that stuff is the same. So, but yeah, you will pretty much see me all the time with a 45 cocked and locked.
There we go.
Somewhere.
So yeah,
Yeah, right.
So are you a brand snob or?
I'm not. You
Okay.
know what? I tell people, especially new shooters, go touch a bunch of guns. Go to a store, they'll let you handle guns, and to be honest with you, whatever feels the best in your hand, it can be the cheapest one or the most expensive, but the one that you just kind of go, ooh, this feels nice, will probably be the one that you're going to shoot good.
Yeah, it's probably best to just not even look at price, kind of not even look at the gun, just grab a bunch of them, right?
That's what I tell people. Just feel them. Don't even get into that whole thing like, which is the best brand. Just go hold them.
Yeah.
And because that's what when you're new shooters, you'll see them, if they can just hold the gun comfortably, get in a nice stance, and shoot the thing, then they'll probably shoot fairly well.
Yeah.
It's when they have a gun that's too big for them, too small, the calibers doesn't matter that much unless they're real squeamish. But a lot of times with shooters, I take my 45, put it between two fingers and pull the trigger and show them that, see, this isn't going to fly out of your hand.
Right.
And look, ping, and shoot, and no one died, the gun didn't fly back, hit me in the head, or nothing happened. So that part of it. But just find something that's comfortable and you'll be good. Yeah, I do have my expensive 1911, but I'm not a brand snob. But my Wilson Compact is my.
Yeah, the Wilson. Yeah, the Wilson.
If you want to go high end, then that was my present to myself when I got out of law enforcement. So I saved.
Fantastic.
I saved for that one.
Yeah. What length barrel is it?
It's a commander length.
Oh, so is that 4?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great length.
Yes.
Oh man, yeah. Oh man, the Wilsons, they're great. Okay, so this is a fun question. We'll get into a few questions that we kind of ask everybody off the cuff on this podcast.
Okay.
So, what is the first thing you think when you wake up in the morning?
What lift do I have to do today?
That's a great thing to start out with.
Yes.
Is it squat day today? Is it bench day? Oh, it's deadlift day.
So, okay,
That's
true.
That being said, what is your favorite lift?
Bench.
Bench. Okay.
I love deadlifts, and I like all of them, but bench I would say it's my favorite because it's something that I always was really good at, and
Yeah.
I never get beat in the bench very much by anybody. So obviously what you do good at, you like.
Yeah.
But I like all. But deadlift's a close second. Actually, I love just the raw nature of the deadlift.
Oh yeah. Nothing.
That's
to
just
it.
pulling up
weight.
big giant weights as much as you can. That doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's great. That's a great answer. So here's a fun question, and it's gonna direct us a little bit, around some of the other things we've talked about. But if you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Like 3 all at the same time?
Or separately?
Well, Arnold would be one of them.
Oh yeah, there we go.
He's the Arnold before he became an actor and governor and all that stuff. He was it. He was the guy that I followed a lot when he was just a bodybuilder. You know, his mental outlook of the sport, his philosophy on life, like, as far as, you know, he just seemed like he had it all figured out to me when I was younger. You know, just outgoing, and you know, his psychology. You know, he like he even said he could, you know, someone could be better than him, and you just go sit down with them and convince them that they were going to lose, and he would probably do it. You know, that kind of stuff to me was fascinating. So.
Franco,
I know he's not dead, but yes, he would be one of them.
Well, these people can be dead or alive.
Right, I know. I said he would definitely be one of them. I know he's still alive. He's an interesting person to me. And the next one will probably be, I am a huge Civil War buff.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
I've read a lot about it. I don't know, it just always interested me when I was younger. History in general is my favorite subject, and
Cool.
that being a giant part of American history,
Yeah,
Civil
absolutely.
War and everything. So I would probably have to say U.S. Grant.
There we go.
Grant.
Yeah.
There we go. That would be incredibly interesting and insightful. I mean,
Because, you know, he basically, you know, he was the guy that won the war. I mean, you had all kinds of generals that were just basically afraid to fight, and he basically just said, you know, my job is to fight until we win. And he never, you know, he understood that he had the resources and he had the manpower, so he was going to use that, because knowing that I just have more guns than you, so eventually I'm going to wear you down and beat you, but I'm just going to keep going and going. He was never retreating. I like that about him. You had so many generals, they'd fight a battle, next thing they do is head back, retreat, and, you know, wait 6 months, and, you know, he was just, you know, he knew the only one who's going to win is just by keep going forward. And so he, to me, is a very interesting person. You know, he became president and all that, but I just more interested in him as, you know, his military career and stuff. So that would be another one. And number 3, who would number 3 be? I can't think of anyone offhand, so I don't want to just throw someone out there. So you caught me off guard. If I had thought about it, maybe I'd come up with a third, but those 2 for sure. So I'm going to stay with 2 for the time being.
Perfect.
I'll update the fans later if I come up with a third.
Yes, please.
There we go.
They will be eagerly awaiting. So, top 3 books is another one that we ask. We're trying to. I mean, I think I kind of asked this question selfishly.
It's a selfish question.
Because I want to know what's on people's reading list, because I want to add to my own reading list. But I'm sure a lot of our listeners have gotten some great ideas so far. So, top 3 books.
I follow an author named Michael Conley. He's a ex-LA Times crime beat writer, and he started writing books about a fictional Los Angeles police detective. I think the first book came out in 1992, maybe.
Okay.
And there's been 23 or 4 novels he's written since then, and I've kind of followed that because it interests me, because it talks about LA law enforcement, and he's really good at knowing stuff that most people, when they write books, don't know. His knowledge of the inside of, he must have a lot of friends that were actual cops, because a lot of stuff it speaks to me as a cop, you know, like, and then being in LA, of course, that's where I grew up and I worked. So that whole genre of books, that Michael Conley, I've read all of those. I enjoy those. He usually puts one out every year, and I'm always anxious to get it. So
very cool.
They're just obviously a bunch of different titles, but it revolves around a detective named Harry Bosch. So that whole Bosch series I like. Military books, I have a lot of Civil War books that I like because they're historical.
Yeah.
I like real history.
Yeah.
And so those kind of stuff. And then even some of the modern stuff, like I enjoyed reading American Sniper.
Oh, yeah, that was a great
Chris
one.
Kyle's book. And then also Lone Survivor.
Also
was an
a great
interesting
one.
book.
Yeah.
So those 2, the American Sniper one I enjoyed quite a bit. Chris Kyle's book. So those are probably the 3 things that I read a lot still.
Yeah, I like that genre. All right, are you a movie guy?
Yes.
So top 2 movies.
For me, Tombstone is number 1.
There we go.
Number 2, The Outlaw Josie Wales.
Really? Okay, I haven't seen
that one either.
Clint Eastwood.
Okay. There
You
we
got
go.
to see it.
Young
Gotta
Clint?
see.
Old Clint?
He's middle range Clint.
Okay.
Middle range Clint. Okay.
He was before like Pale Rider and stuff like that. But,
Okay.
But he's followed by a close. They're probably tied. It'd be Outlaw Josie Wales, and then Robert Redford's. Why am I not remembering the name of the movie now? Okay, I'll get back to it. But anyways,
You're not
Tombstone.
gonna get any help from
Tombstone
me there.
is my far and away number one.
Tombstone. Very good.
Jeremiah Johnson. There we go.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
one and Josie Whale are probably tied first and second.
Gotcha.
Love both of those movies.
Gotcha.
So we got two. We got those two are kind of westernese.
Yeah.
Although Jeremiah Johnson,
Jeremiah
he's
Johnson.
kind of mountain man.
Yeah.
And then
I actually, one of my clients, Tina from Colorado now, she always tells me I remind her of Jeremiah Johnson
you have the
because of
beard.
all those
And
all the
you're out
outdoors.
there in the mountain. Yeah, you're
All-
out there
all
in
the
the
mountain
Yes,
stuff.
Yes.
So I still need to watch it.
Yeah.
Great movie.
It's
Yeah.
just
You need to watch both of those.
Top. Let's say favorite gym music in general. What do you listen to while you train?
I'm more of a rocker kind of dude. So, but you know what? I can get down with a lot of different kind of music.
Yeah. If
Old
you're-
school rap.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I worked in LA when Snoop and all them dudes were, new.
Yeah.
NWA, all that stuff was all out there, and so I kind of was force fed that driving
Yeah.
around the hood.
Yeah.
And so it kind of grew on me, which people kind of find. You like that music? I was like, well, it kind of was. It's kind of the backdrop of an interesting part of my life.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
It is a soundtrack of that part of my life. So
Brings back some.
But I
memories.
mean, but I like a lot of different stuff. There's not one thing. The only thing I can't get down with a whole lot is a lot of your pop music,
Like
modern
poppy
pop,
country, yeah.
And I'm not a country person at all.
Yeah, I mean. Either.
So anything other than that, I'm pretty good.
So if you're gonna go hit a deadlift PR,
Got to be some kind of AC/DC probably.
okay, deal. All right, I need to know what to put on
All right,
next time when
all
I
right,
see
yeah.
Perry going to hit a heavy
little
lift.
AC/DC 's
Okay, AC/DC. Good to know.
Yes.
Okay, we covered your preferred training style
Mm-hmm.
and exercise method, the big three.
Yeah.
We'll just classify it as that.
Yep.
Okay, here's got to be one of the crowd favorite questions. I know for a fact it's got to be a crowd favorite. Who would play your character in a biography?
Jeez, I'm trying to think of. I don't know.
I can think of a couple.
Can you?
I can. For Perry, usually Hunter's great at helping people answer this question,
Yeah.
but
No, I feel like there's definitely a guy. I just don't know the name. Like I look.
I was told a long time ago that I looked like the dude who played in the movie Billy Jack.
oh, I don't know. who
Yeah,
that
it's
is.
old. That's an old
Yeah,
movie. I
they're-
don't even know the dude's name anymore. And then but that's only I haven't been told I look like any other actor, so I don't know.
So I could see.
Tom Laughlin.
Tom Laughlin, that's the actor.
Oh yeah. I could see a few different people playing Perry. So first, I could totally see a more rugged, less clean cut Pierce Brosnan. I
Oh
could see
yes,
it
there it is.
because of Bond, and I think like the hair color, hairstyle kind of thing. If he grew a goatee and hardened up a little bit, I think he could play Perry.
I like that.
I think, first instinct, I think Clint Eastwood kind of came to mind.
Okay.
I think that Clint could do a solid Perry.
Yeah.
He's not quite
He's a
the
no nonsense
muscle
kind of
head,
guy.
but
Not into the.
I think I could get down with that. But modern day guy actually who's super relevant right now that could totally play Perry, Tom Hardy.
Yes.
I like Tom Hardy. He's a good actor.
That's
Right?
That's very well done.
Don't you think?
Yeah, he's a
That's
little
only-
rough around the
That's-
edge.
yeah,
He's
that's
some,
my top of the list right
yeah,
there.
there you go. Okay, Tom Hardy, it is.
Tom Hardy,
Let's
it
do
is.
it.
Dude,
That's
Tom,
an honor.
if you're listening,
there we go.
Let's get right into
let's
script.
do it.
Oh yeah, write the script.
Write the script.
So this is a fun question, and one that I really like asking people for a lot of different reasons. But I'll just go ahead and ask it.
Ask it.
Top two role models, and they can be powerlifting related, life related, anything. I'd
Sure.
say the top two people that
Well, like I
you've
said,
used role models.
Arnold for me when I was growing up, he was a role model. As a person and stuff, I'm not down with a lot of stuff he's, as you know, once he became a politician on stuff, but the stuff that I learned from him about, you know, his philosophy on lifting and, you know, his self-confidence and his belief in, you know, if he set his mind to do, he could do anything. I mean, talk about a guy, you know, moved from a foreign country with no money and do what he did. I mean, but I'm just, that is when I said, that was a big influence in my life and how I am now, and seeing him, you know, just, we'll say the pre-politician movie Arnold, that his philosophy meant a lot to me. And then, you know, the other person, it's going to sound weird, but my son.
Oh, wow.
He's a good dude. I mean, I don't know. I tried to do the best I could, but he's just a solid guy. And you know, just the way he's lived his life, what he's all about, and kind of his stuff that he's just new father, you know, and with his career, stuff he's done, just worked hard, and I'm just really proud of him. Obviously, as you would with any, you know, your children, but if someone could be their own kid could be their role model, then I would say he's one of mine. Just because I said
that's outstanding.
He's a
that's
good
amazing.
person.
Yeah, I mean, that speaks volumes about you, though, as a person, to have, you know, be able to raise somebody that you can, look up to in a lot of ways. Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. We haven't had that answer yet, but
that's special.
You know, and I'm sure if we had him on this podcast, you would be his number one. So I'm sure
I was his best man.
Were you?
Yeah, I was.
That's phenomenal. And you know what? More people should do that. I mean, I think that, I mean, no discrediting on the guys that were, you know, my best man at my wedding, but I mean, that's really cool to, you know.
Well, he and I, you know, he is my son, and, you know, there was, you know, I was his father, and, you know, there was that relationship, but he and I were also a lot different in that we spent so much time together. You know, I coached a lot of his sports, and even I coached my daughters too, and they were older. He's the youngest, and so he was a little bit younger, and so by the time he was growing up, I was kind of more involved in his sports, and then even started him weight training when he was young. And so, I mean, that kid was coming with me to the gym since he was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And so we were training partners, and father and son and coach, and, you know, just one of those deals that the dynamic, it was very different, I think, than most people. And and I think, poor guy, I can be a softie. And I don't like to say that too much, but with my kids, definitely a softie. And he, poor guy, he to this day, because I don't get to see him that much, when we see each other, he will get a big hug and he will get a kiss. On the mouth, he'll get a kiss on the cheek, but he will get a kiss, doesn't matter where. And he had to deal with that. We could have been at the high school, when he was in college,
awesome.
Right now. That's you know, I kind of, I guess, trained him. You're going to get hugged, and dude, sorry. That messes with your manliness, but
doesn't matter. I'm doing it anyway.
So, I mean, I like it. So
yeah, I'm sure he looks forward to it.
So yeah, we have a pretty.
And he helps you out on meet day too.
Oh yeah, he handles me.
Yeah, which is outstanding. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, cool. I hope to make one of your meets in person one of these days. So looks like I'm going to have to fly to Houston to do that this year.
Houston's a great place anyway. So.
You know, I say we get the band together.
Yeah.
You know, what date did you say it was? Like
I want to say the 4th through the 6th or something like that.
Okay.
This is like the first. It's called the North American Championships.
Okay. Well, we'll have to look into that. Well, Parry, do you have any closing remarks?
You know what? All you out there listening, a lot of you probably train here at the Mecca, so good for you. But if you are not either you're training somewhere else or you're in the area, I can't think of a better place to come and have a great time, to meet your goals, to meet new people, new and fascinating people.
New and fascinating, that's right.
But, you know, this is, like I said, for me, you know, the lifting is a very big part of my life. And so obviously the place that I train has to be that same type of level of everything that I'm looking for. And I've definitely found in this place, I've told Eric many times that, you know, he's really got a good thing going here. And it just, you know, whole family atmosphere. But So I would just say if you're looking for a cool place to meet your goals, meet different people, and have a great time in your fitness journey,
Meet many
whatever that
strong
is,
people.
yeah, meet some strong people, then come on down and join us, because we're always looking for
That's right.
more people to come and join us.
That's
It's a great
right.
place.
We're always looking for people to cheer on.
Yes,
right.
we are.
More people to yell at for
Exactly.
PR attempts.
For
Oh, yeah.
the
best
music
part
up
of this
for.
gym, like I said,
Yeah.
you will not be disappointed.
right.
It's so funny because you see some of these people, you see them, they're so shy, and you know how now 2 or 3 years later, do you see them like, this is the person that wouldn't talk to anybody, and I look at them.
Oh,
you know?
man. Yeah.
And we all know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Not saying any names.
Names.
Nikki.
Nikki.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
No,
but-
Prairie, I appreciate it so much. I appreciate your time and being on. The people that are listeners and just people in general can learn a lot from you, and they can definitely learn from your great example, and they should come and learn from your great example, just like you've pushed even some of our coaches here to get stronger and lift heavier and be better men as it is, and we all look up to you, and we appreciate you being on this podcast, my friend.
I'm glad that you invited me. Like I said, I can't say enough good things about this gym and the people that work here, and like I said, it's a big part of my life, and so I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Thank you, Parry.
You bet.
You take care, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Powerlifting Podcast. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. For more content like this, follow Eric Cafferty and the Mecca Gym on all social media platforms.